Alright, hello and welcome. This is Noel, and I am going to be playing some Kerbal Space Program. I'm going to be continuing on from my last Kerbal stream, where I was playing in career mode with money and science. And to be honest, I don't actually remember what my last mission was, so bear with me as I get my bearings. So this is going to be a shorter stream than normal. Normally I go to 9, but tonight I'm going to 8, because at 8 o'clock, Fraser Kane and company are doing their weekly space hangout stream. You can learn about all the fun space news that has happened this week. But until then, I'm just going to be launching rockets, pretending to be Elon Musk and stuff like that. Okay, now what was I doing? Got 200 or so thousand funds. Yes, I had just upgraded the launch pad because I could not get a heavy enough. I'm trying to get into orbit, and that launch pad wasn't strong enough, I guess. It needed to be upgraded before I could use a heavy enough rocket to get to orbit. I'm going to call this the Encircler, maybe? Yeah, because I had Hopper 1, Hopper 2, and I'll go with an equally unoriginal name for this one. Encircler 1. Okay. Gonna need parachute. Now, I believe I got science in the last mission. Can't remember. Science from space, that is. Go with need a heat shield, coupler, I don't have any small liquid fuel engines yet. I'm going to go with 2 of these big tanks. I'm going to use the swivel, which has slightly better vacuum specific impulse. Then I'm just going to calculate its delta V to see how much bigger, or how big my first stage needs to be. I think I can do this in 2 stages. So this one right now is 5.040 tons, and empty it is 3.040 tons. That gives it a delta V of about 1600. So if I subtract that from 3400, so subtract, not divide. So I'm going to need 18 to somewhere between 18 and 1900 meters per second from my first stage. So I'll get the decoupler, and I will need a huge stack of these. Let's go with 6 of them. And once again, I'm going to go with the Reliant. It has slightly better surface level, delta V, and also has better thrust. But it doesn't have gimbaling, so I'll have to use some aerodynamic surfaces to steer with. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So I needed 1900, and this will give me, this engine has a surface or at sea level ISP of 265 and 310 in vacuum. 265. I can probably put in 270 because the specific impulse rises very quickly as you get higher. So, and it is 13.402 tons. And divide that by 7.402. So that's 15. I need 400 more. And probably get it just with solid rocket boosters. Take a couple of these, few of these, and we'll see what these little ones get me first. If it's not enough, I can just put in the bigger ones. I need 400. Solid rocket engines. I have 170 seconds of specific impulse. Mass is 27.872. And empty 16.662. Oh, and that gets me 800, so that is more than enough. So I think that is good. This should get me into orbit. However, I have one more part than is my limit. I think what I'm going to do instead is just take off the fins, place that with the swivel, and then use the bigger engines. Looks like it's 3 times the looks like it has 3 times the fuel as the other ones. So it should be more than enough to get us into orbit. I just get my staging all set up. Okay. And launch. Let's check my crew. It is Jebediah. Let Valentina do the first orbit. Three, 2, 1, blast off. we're getting a little bit south with this, but it just doesn't really matter. An orbit's an orbit. Let's check the map view. I'm going to throttle down a bit. Apoapsis is pretty high up. Yeah, so my current contract is to orbit Kermit. Kerbin. My voice is not working very well today. Apologize. So early on, the only auto control I have is stability assist. But if I get more, if I get more experience or level up the Kerbal, he or she will have more options. So you can have the ship say automatically point retrograde or prograde. Automatically hold certain attitudes. Right now I have to manually control that. So I'm getting up to my desired altitude already. But I'm also getting pretty horizontal. I'm trying to do this as efficiently as I can. I've heard that you can the most efficient way to get into orbit is to try to keep your ship pointing as close to its prograde vector as you can. But you can only really but as you do that, closer to your apoapsis you get, the more horizontal you get. So you want to keep it out in front of you. Oh, run out of fuel, time to stage. Yeah. Thing has a lot of thrust now, or a lot of thrust to weight ratio. Okay, so let's get that up to 80 kilometers. There we go. Then once we get up there, we can reignite the engine or throttle up again and get us into a stable orbit. Right. Almost in orbit. Just need to do this one last burn to finish the contract. And there we go. That should be, yes. We have succeeded and we have gained, I think, about 100,000 funds. Pretty good. And that's pretty much all we need to do up here. I don't think there's any kind of science. Okay, so we still have some science we can get from up here. So we'll hold on to that crew report. It's worth something. Alright. I can't EVA yet. Apparently I need to upgrade the astronaut complex in order to EVA. Alright. So I'm going to let this come around and deorbit and splash down somewhere close to the Space Center again. We're going to aim for this body of water here. That's what I'm going to do. So to deorbit, I need to point retrograde. Yep. I can turn on my engine. There we go. So we'll splash down probably somewhere over there. The trajectory points over here, but it assumes no atmosphere. But atmosphere will slow me down and cause my trajectory to fall short, hopefully, of the mountains around that crater. Of course, I could always ensure that I get past that little bit of mountain by burning slightly north for a bit. I have lots of fuel left to do this with. So I can deflect my orbit by burning either north or south. Right, we can warp ahead and get ready for re-entry. And I should also get some extra science just by virtue of having a ship come from orbit. Alright. Shock heating from re-entry is starting. You can turn off SAS because this thing is aerodynamically stable. It's in no danger of flipping around. So during this phase of the flight, the air resistance slows my ship down very quickly. We're at 2 Gs of deceleration just from trying to move through air at high speed. Going up to 3 Gs soon. But our speed is dropping to just getting to a kilometer per second now. Falling rapidly. Then when I drop below supersonic speed, I can open my parachute, or at least deploy it. Right now it's red, so when it goes, it'll turn yellow and then white, and when it's white, I can deploy it. There we go. And I can speed this up. And deploy. And then speed it up once again until it splashes down. Here we are. And recover this. Apparently I can EVA from here. I just can't EVA in space. I think that's the limitation. Okay, just recover that. So I got 15 science, not too bad. 10 science just from having been in orbit, and 5 science from that crew report. Parts recovered, only 40% value, and definitely Valentina got an XP. Up 1 XP. Apparently has advanced to level 2. Let's look at some more missions. So there's a bunch of focused observational surveys. So this is where we take crew reports at certain locations. These can be a little boring though. So there's 4 of those from different companies with different options, and not a whole lot of money you get from it compared to my 350,000 or so. Explore the moon. That does get you a lot of money, 64,000. Okay, so this is just a flyby. And there's a whole bunch of testing of different things. There's a tourist contract. Not bad. And then more testing. Let's go for the moon. Seems most straightforward. I'd maybe do some tourism. I kind of like that kind of mission. But I don't have much time left. Let's do the astronaut complex, get this thing upgraded because I do want to do EVAs. So it takes 75,000. I easily have that. So the tourist thing is suborbital flights, which will require some kind of rocketry. Let's see where they want to go. This isn't really helping me. Because this contract thing doesn't tell me where. What the mission control. Look at the active ones. This doesn't tell me where they're actually going to go either. Okay. But I have 4 years to do this. Anyway, Anyway, I think I can handle suborbital stuff. Actually, I do want to check what kind of science I need to get still. Into my archives, it should show me. Experiments, I've got 6 crew reports, 6 mystery goo from Kerbin and Space Near Kerbin. Atmospheric pressure scans and flight recovery. Okay, so I have access to, but haven't used the Science Junior, so I could probably get quite a bit of science out of it. But I do have to return them to get the science. Let's see if I've got 34 science, but everything is too expensive for that. I would have liked advanced rocketry because you do get bigger tanks. General construction has a lot of stuff as well. It's got struts, which are always useful. But again, it takes 45 science. So I'm going to have to do a science mission on top of my contracts, I think. Okay, so get the command pod, the pilot. I don't think I have any crew carrying things. I don't, so I would either have to make this robot controlled and put the tourist in the capsule. Yeah, that's not ideal. I'm just gonna make a science mission, I think. This is gonna be a suborbital science mission. And have a lot of parachutes because this whole thing is gonna be one piece, I think. So go with 3 parachutes. Don't need a stage. I'm gonna go with 3 science, maybe 4 actually. 4 science juniors. Center of mass is up there, which is not great. So what I can do is put these on top. And I think I will have this stage, just so it doesn't have to land on its rockets. Because these are also light, they're probably going to try to act like a giant fin and make the rocket go backwards anyway, so I'm going to need fins. And I'm going to have to get rid of those fins when I want it to come back. So fuel tanks, let's just go with a big old thumper. That definitely will need fins for steering. Let's see what the delta V on this thing is. The thumper is 175 at sea level and 210 in a vacuum. So I'm going to estimate 180 on average. And then the mass when full is 10.225 or 252. And then empty be 4.102. So it's 1600, which is pretty darn good. Yeah. I'm going to put the thrust limiter to 50% because this is a light vehicle and doesn't need all the thrust of the solid rocket booster. Someone keeps burning their dinner, if you can hear that. Someone's smoke detector going off repeatedly. Okay. Staging looks good too. So this is going to be Hopper 3, because that's all it's going to do is hop. It's going to get all this fancy science from the ground, from in flight, from high altitude atmosphere, and space. Right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So it looks like I did underestimate the mass of this thing. So I'm not going to turn this thing at all. I'm just going to let it go straight up. Oh, I forgot to get science from the ground, but I can do that when it lands. So observe this while flying. 17.5 science. The less resilient samples appear to have splattered around the interior, forming new and interesting color combinations. Sounds good. Even if we don't get the space, this should get us quite a bit of science. But I think it should. Getting out of the atmosphere is roughly only half of, I think less than half of the energy needed to actually get to orbit. Okay, so we're out of fuel, and the apoapsis only goes to 35. We're at 20, so maybe we're in the upper atmosphere now. So observe this. Yes, we are in upper atmosphere. 22.5 science. Let's keep that. Then we can detach. Yeah, we're not getting to space. 33 is as high as we're getting. 33 kilometers. Just gonna speed this up. I'm not gonna pop the parachutes until this thing starts slowing down instead of speeding up. We're pretty high up in the atmosphere, so our terminal velocity will be a lot higher than it is when we get deeper into the atmosphere. Okay, we're starting to slow down. Now we can feel safe deploying the parachutes. There we go. I can speed it up again. Sound of my booster landing or crashing. And deploy, please. Go. Sound's getting low. We have a nice gentle descent at 4.5 meters a second. And here we go, touchdown. Before I recover, we can observe Materials Bay on Kerbal Shore. 7 science, not much. The water spray has rusted one of the samples in some of the electronics, AR and /F star star star, etc. Alright, let's recover that. Should be quite a bit of science in there. Should be able to get a few more useful pieces of technology. Let's go into R&D. We've got 81.6. So it's enough to get us one more item. I do want the advanced rocketry because it does give us access to a smaller liquid fuel rocket for traveling in vacuum. Very good. Very good for transfers and insertion burns. And we have a slightly bigger fuel tank, so we don't have to use like several dozen little tanks. And eventually we'll get struts and a crew cabin where we can store tourists. Alright, let's make a moon rocket. I might need to upgrade the vehicle assembly building though. That's going to be expensive, but I do need a large enough building to accommodate all the parts needed to go to the moon. So yeah, I'm going to upgrade that. Doesn't leave me with a lot of money left, but I can probably get that back with some contracts. I don't have much time, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the rocket, and then on my next stream we get to I'll get around to launching it. Save. New. I'm not going to make this a major science mission though. It's going to be a basic send the Kerbal there and come back. I can put some small science items though, like mystery goo, so I can take I do want that, but I want 3 because there are 3 biomes, or quote unquote biomes, that I'll be visiting that I haven't visited yet. Okay. So I have all the goo, barometer, and thermometer. I forgot the heat shield. An important thing to not forget. And on this stage, let's see what this basic tiny thing will get us. I will put a bunch of batteries on it because I don't have any solar panels, and I'm a little paranoid about running out of power. And these aren't that expensive or heavy. Let's see. Now this rocket, this particular motor has very good delta V, or not delta V, but specific impulse in vacuum, it's 345 seconds, which is pretty significant compared to the 320, which is the next best engine. Plus, it's a third as heavy or as massive. Okay, so 9.81 times 345 times natural logarithm of 3.175 tons divided by 2.175. So that is 1,280 meters per second, and a transfer burn costs about 800. Or 860, I should say. But I intend to use a return trajectory, so I should only have to pay that once. But just in case, I'm going to give it a little bit more delta V. Add an extra tank. And then I'll just try to deliver this whole thing into orbit and have all that extra fuel as a safety buffer. Make sure I don't run out. So I need the upper stage. Gonna be a couple of these. The swivel engine. So let's see what that gets me. So that's going to be what inserts me into orbit once I get above Kerbin. 9.81 times 320 times. Make sure those are full. 8.663 over 5.663. I got a syntax error because I forgot the natural logarithm. 1,334. Pretty good. So that minus 3,400 is about 2,100, which is what I need for the first stage. That's unlikely that I will get that delta V on one core, so I may end up needing a triple core vehicle like the Falcon Heavy. Or the Delta IV Heavy. On the center core, I can use. So I don't have cross feed yet, so I'm going to have to use swivels on all of these rockets. So this first stage, 1 times 320 once again, and the mass is 14.963 tons. Got to fill that. Actually 16.963. And that divide by 10.963 will be nowhere near 100. It's 1370. So I need 800 more delta V. Oh, I'm going to do a 3-core system. still don't have struts yet. And now these ones, I'm going to use their atmosphere specific impulses, which is about 250. So I'm just going to use that number. Make sure all of these are full. And then empty the side boosters. And the delta V is 1,000. So yeah, this should be enough to get us to the moon. At least to into a flyby mission. There we go. So will most likely be Valentina flying if I remember to assign her. Just going to move these slightly down so that the weight of the rocket is sitting on side boosters instead of the middle one, just to distribute the weight better. I'm going to call this Moon Circler. And we're going to save. Hi Grace, you're late. I'm about to end. It's getting to 8, and 8 on Wednesdays means the weekly space hangout. And that is a fun little thing that where you get to learn about. Well, you can catch up on all the space news of the week with Weekly Space Hangout if you want. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, I hope anyone who catches this after the fact, because I don't think anyone was watching it live. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.